Kliff had met witches before. Ilawan in the woods near Ivynuk, who warned him of a looming dark force. The same witch who was tied up in a house surrounded by bandits who spoke of courage and wisdom. He had encountered the White Crow, a being whose nature sits somewhere between witch and something older. He understood, in a general way, that witches exist across Pywall, that they guard a balance most people cannot perceive, and that they operate by their own logic and on their own timelines. Maegu and Woosa were different. They came from the eastern continent, across a sea that most people in Pywall have never stood at the edge of. They had told him this before, when he first found Woosa at Fort Ironclad and brought her back to her sister in the bamboo forest. But walking with them now, in the quiet of the forest after leaving Pororin, he understood it fully. The world, they told him, is more vast than you can ever imagine. Witches dwell in even its farthest reaches, each one keeping her place, tending the balance in her own way. They had come to Pywall because they had heard that the witches here wield arts unknown to them. They wanted to learn. They wanted to wander new lands, not for adventure as most people understand it, but because the work of maintaining the balance is a daunting and unending task, and those who carry it have to keep growing or the task will eventually outgrow them. Kliff thanked them for pulling him out of Demonis Castle, for finding him before the soldiers could move him somewhere worse. They received the gratitude with grace. He told them about the voice, the words that had reached him in the silence while time stopped in Pororin Forest. Maegu listened. Then she told him what it was, a call to prove yourself through trial. The voice was not random. It had chosen him deliberately, and the place it was calling him toward lay far from where they were standing. But distance, for the Witch Sisters, is a different kind of problem than it is for everyone else. The place you seek lies far from here, but our powers can have you there in an instant. They walked together until they reached the mouth of a cave in the rock face ahead. Maegu and Woosa stopped at its entrance. Beyond this point lies the Crimson Desert. The one who called you waits past its sands. The trial ahead will not be gentle, but this is as far as we go. They disappeared. Kliff walked into the cave alone. On the other side of the cave, the world changed entirely. The Crimson Desert, scorched red earth stretching in every direction to a horizon that shimmers with heat. The sky above it is a different color than the sky above Pywall's forests and fields, harder, more bleached, as if the sun has been at work on it for longer than anywhere else. The desert is always growing. That is not a metaphor or an exaggeration. The Crimson Desert expands, slowly, inevitably, pressing its red earth against the borders of everything around it. Between the desert and Demonis stands the Crimson Wall, a mountain that earns its name by doing exactly what the name describes. A barrier against the desert winds, holding the heat back from the inhabited regions to the west. Beyond that first range lie the Crimson Mountains themselves, a deeper shield against the more extreme conditions further north. The entirety of the desert is hot, but the true heat that begins beyond the Crimson Mountains. North of them, it is said, the heat becomes so stifling that it is nearly impossible to breathe. Kliff was still south of that threshold, but the desert was already making itself known. He moved forward. He entered Crookstone Crag, a stretch of rocky terrain that moves the way a maze moves, with no obvious through line and every formation seemingly designed to redirect you. Countless holes, walls, and interconnected natural bridges that make orientation unreliable. The temptation, in a maze like this, is to press forward and trust that speed compensates for direction. It does not. But the formations do something else. Their height and density cast shade. In a desert where shade is a resource, this is not nothing. Crookstone Crag is a place where the desert is survivable, if you can hold your bearings. Kliff moved through the crag and found the dark cave on the other side. The cave opened into the Cloister of Enlightenment. It has a reputation that precedes it. Travelers who have been here, and not many have, come back with contradictory accounts. Some say they found vast fortunes of gold and silver. Others say they found nothing but piles of rock and the particular disappointment of a long journey ended by ordinary stone. The contradiction is perhaps the point. The Cloister tests what you see when you arrive somewhere expecting something. Whether what is real and what is valuable are the same thing is a question the Cloister seems to be designed to ask. What Kliff saw was a giant golden statue and a staircase leading up toward it. The statue was corrupted, a visible wrongness in something that should have been clean. He focused his mind and applied the focused force palm, pushing the corruption out. The moment the corruption cleared, the lanterns along the staircase lit in sequence, one after another, as if something beneath the Cloister had been waiting for exactly this, and had now been given permission to wake up. A voice spoke, the same voice from Pororin.
Unravel the secrets carved into ancient stone, and let their power flow through you.
There were 4 of them, each one carved with an inscription. Each inscription a direction, not a map reference, but something closer to a principle, and attached to it, a place. The first, bear within you the purpose to mend the balance that falters. True enlightenment shall begin when the Sanctum's order is restored. The second, there are things that grow stronger the more they are worn and weathered. Enlightenment shall begin where the swords of past and present cross. The third, learn the way of looking within. Enlightenment shall begin upon the southern peak where the morning mist rises. The fourth, lend your ear to the cries of suffering. Enlightenment shall begin beyond the sea of crimson sands in the north, where severed bonds will be born. 4 tablets, 4 trials. The voice in the silence at Pororin had not been a greeting. It had been the beginning of something. The first tablet pointed toward a sanctum. Kliff followed it to Tariv. Tariv sits on the banks of the Den River, a small village that is not easily categorized by the standards of the settlements Kliff has moved through until now. It is a sanctuary for those who wield mysterious powers. The Tariv Sorcerers take in anyone burdened with magical talent, including those who did not ask for it and did not want it, and guide them away from the darkness that unchecked power tends toward. The village is protected by a great guardian tree, whose barrier has held against constant threats from outsiders who covet what the sorcerers carry. When the children of Tariv come of age, they swear before the guardian tree to protect their home. The tree is not merely a landmark. It is a promise made visible. Kliff made his way through the village and climbed the tower at its center. The walls of the staircase were lined with paintings of sorcerers. Portraits, primarily, arranged with the careful attention for the people who deserve to be remembered. He climbed past them and reached the top. One of the paintings moved. A face turned toward him. A voice came from the frame.
I'm glad you've come, stranger.
Huh? What are you?
Do not be alarmed. I'm neither wraith nor corpse, merely a sorcerer, stripped of power, bound to this frame. You seek the witch who would upset the balance of the world, do you not?
Aye, to set things back to their proper state.
Hexe Marie. She plunders our bodies with vile sorcery, and shakes the Order of the Abyss we've guarded for generations.
The Order of the Abyss?
There is a temple, a keystone of this world, that holds the law of nature steady. If you truly wish to restore balance, help that temple regain its strength.
The painting fell still. The message had been delivered. Across the Den River from Tariv lies the Hexe Sanctuary. The cabin at its heart is shrouded in a malevolent aura so dense that approaching it directly is not survivable. The witch's power does not stay inside the cabin. It radiates outward, corrupting the surrounding lands and the mountains beyond them, turning everything within range into an extension of the nightmare she has built. The toll she has taken on the region is documented in 4 places. The clay urn necropolis, a disposal site beside the cabin where failed ceramics and damaged goods were once discarded and forgotten. Since Hexe Marie took over, she used brimstone to animate the discarded remains, building a ceramic army from things that had already been thrown away. What was once a dump is now a garrison. Hollow Haven, a sorcerer village, a thriving settlement before Hexe Marie arrived, now a hollow shell. The sorcerers were sacrificed to her. Those who failed to escape met ends that the survivors do not describe in plain language. The Forgotten Tomb, a sacred site where great alchemists and sorcerers lie in eternal rest. Once a holy sanctuary, Hexe Marie found it and recognized what the bones of the ancestors contained, magic infused into the marrow over lifetimes of practice, and harnessed it. She has been drawing on the dead to amplify her living power ever since. The Brimstone Hot Spring, known for its healing and restorative properties, a beloved local landmark, seized by Hexe Marie. Ceramic creatures now lurk beneath the waters. What healed people before now hunts them. Tariv had survived because the Guardian Tree's barrier held. But surviving and being unaffected are not the same thing. The residents of Tariv continued to live inside the edge of Hexe Marie's influence every day. The village endured. The cost of enduring was not small. Kliff moved toward the Hexe Sanctuary, and the malevolent aura met him before he reached the cabin. A murder of crows came out of the purple darkness at the sanctuary's edge and hit him before he could respond. He lost consciousness. He woke up on the bank of the Den River, further back than where he had started, with no memory of being moved. The aura had to be weakened before he could go any further. He looked for a way to do it and found a nearby Sanctum of Mortification, a site already overrun by Hexe Marie's ceramic creatures. He moved through it and cleared them out, then worked to restore the Sanctum's power. When the last creature fell, the White Crow arrived. She moved through the Sanctum and cleared the purple malevolent aura from it. The Sanctum's power was restored. The White Crow spoke before she left. This place vexes those who hunger for chaos, like Hexe Marie. First, you must destroy the stone wall that masks her presence. She paused. Keep cautious and vigilant. Then she was gone. What she had described as a stone wall was the network of corrupted totems placed across the 4 sites Hexe Marie had claimed. Clay Urn Necropolis, Forgotten Tomb, Brimstone Springs, Hollow Haven. Each one had a totem. Each totem was guarded. Hexe Marie's ceramic soldiers are not natural creatures. They are constructions, things made from materials that were already used and discarded, animated by brimstone and her particular brand of sorcery, into something that moves with terrifying purpose. The Hexe Earthen soldiers patrol the wasteland. Forged from a chaotic mass of rough stone and metal fragments, they bear an eerie resemblance to a human form, the shape of a person, built from debris. Their long, slender limbs are more flexible than they appear, making them capable of intercepting at angles that their structure does not suggest. They are watchers and interceptors, designed to find you and keep you from going further. The Hexe Earthen spearmen are constructed from rugged stone and corroded metal, adorned with a mysterious jar ornament, and armed with a long, razor-sharp spear. They move slowly. That is the only thing about them that could be mistaken for a weakness. their heavily armored frames advance with relentless persistence, hunting down anything that has not cleared their territory and claiming its life. The Hexe earthen swordsmen fight with a keen, one-handed blade and the unpredictable speed that their rough, stone construction does not prepare you for. Merciless executioners. They cut without hesitation, overwhelming with swift swordplay and movements that do not follow the patterns their bodies would seem to dictate. All three types stood between Kliff and the 4 totems. He went through them. Kliff moved through each of the 4 corrupted sites in turn. The clay-urn necropolis, where the ceramic army was born from discarded things, the totem there guarded by the creatures it had produced, defending the source of their own creation. He destroyed it. The forgotten tomb, where Hexe Marie had reached into the bones of the dead and drawn their accumulated power into herself. The totem there standing in a sanctuary that no longer resembled one. He destroyed it. The brimstone springs, where the water that once healed had been turned into a hunting ground. The totem there watched over by ceramic creatures lurking beneath the surface. He destroyed it. Hollow Haven, the sorcerer village that had been hollowed out and left as the name suggested. The 4th and final totem. The last stone in the wall the White Crow had described. When the totem at Hollow Haven fell, the wall was gone. Hexe Marie showed herself. Up the hill, in the eerie cabin that had been shrouded from approach since she took the sanctuary. She was there, waiting. Kliff pushed through the gates and walked into the cabin grounds. He stopped. He recognized what he was looking at. Draven, the Crowcaller, the twisted shade who had taken the White Crow, who had fought Kliff at the crow's nest in the abyss, who had burst into crows and disappeared screaming when Kliff drove his sword through him. The man who had called the White Crow the offering and called Hexe Marie mother. He was sitting under a giant tree inside the cabin grounds, not moving, not breathing, dead. Hexe Marie was standing over him, speaking to the body.
How disappointing. You couldn't even carry out your mother's command. Not that I ever expected much from you. You've served your purpose. Now, I'll reclaim my power.
Draven's history assembled itself in that moment. Hexe Marie had recognized his talent and taken him in as her own. He had embraced the power of darkness and walked the path of corruption she had set for him. Yet through all of it, his gaze had always been fixed on her. Not on the power, not on the darkness, on her. The love he had needed and never received remained beyond reach no matter how much strength he gathered. He had built himself into something terrible in the hope that it would be enough. It was not enough. It was never going to be enough. Hexe Marie devoured his body and claimed his strength. Then she turned to Kliff and conjured her ceramic soldiers. Kliff discarded them without difficulty. They were not the point. They were a gesture, an opening move, a way of buying time before the real conversation began. Hexe Marie, the Black Witch, is a wicked witch who follows Umbra. She turned the lands near Tariv into a realm of nightmares. Her method of raising children is the purest expression of what she is. She takes them in, infuses them with dark power, nurtures them into something formidable, and then devours them when the time comes, claiming that strength as her own. Her power is immense and shows signs of instability, as if she were somehow incomplete. A vast accumulation of stolen strength that has not finished becoming whatever it is building toward. She was not interested in avenging Draven. She was interested in Kliff. She looked at him the way she had looked at Draven once. She tried a different approach than force.
Deep down, you already knew. that joining me is the only choice.
Kliff was not tempted in the slightest. He attacked her, and the fight began. She fought with purple chaos energy and the ceramic soldiers she could conjure at will. She was also watching him fight, studying him with the clinical interest of someone assembling an assessment. When Kliff moved through her soldiers with the efficiency, she paused to acknowledge it.
He molded you into a fine one.
She meant the White Crow. It was not a compliment offered freely. It was information she was choosing to reveal, a thread she was pulling to see how he would respond. He did not respond. He kept moving toward her. Just as Kliff was about to land the finishing blow, she dissolved. A murder of crows erupted from her form, and she reconstituted behind him, climbing onto his back and wrapping her power around him.
Far superior being. Crag, will you not be my son?
Your words reek of deceit, witch!
He punched her away from him. She regrouped and kept pressing.
You're the only one worthy to be called my son!
Kliff said nothing. He kept walking toward her, tired from the fight, from the totems, from everything the day had required. But the tiredness was somewhere behind the determination, and the determination was not slowing down. She blasted him across the battlefield. He landed inside the cabin. She followed him in, still firing purple chaos energy, and he moved through the inside of the cabin, dodging it, around corners, past walls, up the stairs.
Fear always dwells within that child! You are different. You are perfection! You will be mine, Greymane. I'll be waiting until the time comes.
The crows scattered into the dark, and she was gone. The Hexe Sanctuary was free of Hexe Marie. It was not the end of her. She had escaped, and the statement she had left behind made her intentions clear. But the presence that had been poisoning the region around Tariv, corrupting the tombs, the springs, the village ruins, and the necropolis, was gone. The malevolent aura that had stopped Kliff at the boundary on his first approach no longer existed. What the Tariv Sorcerers had endured for however long Hexe Marie had held. This territory would take a long time to repair. The Forgotten Tomb would need reclaiming. Hollow Haven would need rebuilding. The Brimstone Springs would need time to become what they had been. None of this would happen quickly, but it would happen now that the source of the corruption had been driven out. Kliff looked back at the Cloister of Enlightenment in his mind. The first tablet, its inscription, bear within you the purpose to mend the balance that falters. True enlightenment shall begin when the Sanctum's order is restored. The Sanctum's order had been restored. The first trial was complete. Hexe Marie is the Black Witch. We have been hearing that name since the Crowcaller called her mother. The threat of the White Crow being taken for her purposes. The reason Kliff followed the crow all the way to the crow's nest in the abyss. She has been the shadow behind multiple events in this story, and this is the first time we have stood in front of her. She is not what I expected, which I think is the point. She is not straightforwardly evil in the way that Bastier was evil, or Byron, or Myrdin. She is something more unsettling, a force that consumes what it claims to love, that builds children into weapons and then claims the weapons when the building is done. Draven spent his entire existence trying to earn something from her. He embraced darkness, gathered power, walked every path she set for him, and she stood over his body and said she never expected much from him anyway. That is a particular kind of cruelty, not the cruelty of violence, but the cruelty of withholding the one thing someone needed in exchange for everything else they had. And then she looked at Kliff the same way she must have once looked at Draven, with that specific appetite. The difference is that Kliff is not looking for what Draven was looking for. He has comrades. He has a home he fought to reclaim. He has a sword that belonged to Gian. He is not empty enough to be filled by what Hexe Marie offers. She read him correctly. She called him a fine warrior. She acknowledged the White Crow had shaped him well. But she misread what that meant about whether he could be recruited. She escaped. This was not a resolution. Hexe Marie told Kliff she would be waiting, which means she is already planning. The instability in her power, the sense that she is somehow incomplete, suggests that whatever she is building toward requires more than what she has taken so far. The first trial is done. The Sanctum's order is restored. 3 tablets remain. He has not yet asked who is calling. He is answering the call first. That says something about where he is right now. The Hexe Sanctuary was quiet for the first time in a long time. Somewhere in Tariv, the guardian tree still stood. The sorcerers bound to their paintings still waited. The work of rebuilding what Hexe Marie had taken apart had not yet begun. Kliff had 3 tablets left, things that grow stronger the more they are worn and weathered. A southern peak where the morning mist rises, the cries of suffering beyond the sea of crimson sands. 3 more trials.